And now I'm right back here. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of editing for this playthrough. More than I have for any other playthrough I've done. Because there's a lot of repetition in the game. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you've seen before. So, like this for example. You saw most of this, you saw all of that up until this point. So this is a parry attack. It's basically a quick time event, only with the always reliable button press. Like, you always press the A button. Like, I like the parry attack. It's definitely... Like, the problem with it is that it has a stupid rolling attack that Link can randomly do, where he can get stopped by walls. I just wish that rolling attack didn't even exist. Because it can get stopped by walls and enemies. And like, if you're swarmed by enemies, that can really hurt you. So it's like a gamble. But usually the parry attack does a lot of damage. So that's good. Although I'd rather do the spin attack. Like, you're gonna see when I fight that basically I'm just going to try to spam the spin attack as much as possible. The spin attack does 4 damage. And when you have the Master Sword, it does 8 damage, which is actually pretty pathetic considering how large the health bars of the enemies are. Like getting back into the combat, I just wish that the attacks weren't so weak, because it just kind of makes the fighting drag out. And we're trying to use strategy by just spamming the strongest attack over and over again to get the fight done with as quick as possible, which is the smartest way to do the combat. Then you're going to just find it repetitive. Like you got a whole bunch of other attacks. Like, you've got the stupid combo, and like you can easily get locked into the combo. Especially since, again, if you're L targeting an enemy, so that you make it a lot more likely that you'll actually hit it, and then you press the B button to equip your sword, then you're going to automatically attack. And so if you hit that enemy with that attack, then you're going to get locked into a combo, because the next time you press the B button, you're guaranteed to do this. So, like the very end of the combo is usually the spin attack, but that's the end of the combo. You know, like, you want to skip straight to the end, do the best attack the most. Like, it really does reward skill, being able to do a spin attack over and over again when you constantly, like, rotate the analog stick and press the B button. Like, I can do a spin attack like 8 times in a row now. But, like this is the last, I'll make sure that this is the last time I complain about this, because it will get repetitive. But yeah, I think the combat of this game it's fun. It's one of the best parts of the game. But it's kind of sloppy when you think about its design. Like, there's a whole bunch of attacks, only one of them is good, and you just want to do one attack. How did she do that? How did she suddenly start facing the sky when she was facing downwards before? Like, I know it's cartoony, but that always completely throws me out of it. Like, that is weird. That's an amusing cutscene, though. I really like Tetra. I like how sassy and sarcastic she is. She's the most relatable character in the game. And she's also... I just love her attitude. I love the way she talks. I love everything about her. Even her design. Usually I love that line! But wasn't that nice of it? This guy's kind of a wuss, though. Even though he's really strong. I guess he's supposed to be the muscle who's a softie. I like how the pirates actually really care about Tetra. I think the pirates are very heavily underutilized as characters, though. And here is a heartwarming cutscene. Absolutely nothing is gonna go wrong here. Yeah, just stand there waving for a really long time. And then she goes over the bridge to go up to Link, rather than Link just going up to her. I think this could have been avoided. Like, why did Ariel have to walk across the bridge? Why couldn't she just wait for him to come to her? Like, this is doing a good job with emotional impact. Like, it's making you care about Ariel. Although, Link was a complete and utter idiot there. I'm pretty sure Link could have just swam back to shore if he jumped here. Like, I don't think he would have drowned, so I don't really think Tetra saved him. You kind of feel sorry for Link here. Like, he tried to save his sister because he was so desperate to save her that he lost all common sense. But he should have known that the bird was too far away for him to catch up to it. And even if he does get it, like, then what? He gets kidnapped with Ariel and trapped in the cage. Link really doesn't think things through. But, you know, like, Link has the most personality in this game that he does in any other Zelda game. Like, that's really good. And Tetra's being pretty sassy. I like this. What the fuck? What kind of animation is that? He's like a chicken and his voice clips. Oh my god. This game, you can tell it's from the GameCube era. And this guy is kind of nagging. I forget what his name is. So young girls have basically been getting kidnapped by a giant bird. Young girls with more obvious Hylian blood who have pointy ears because of it. Like the Hylian, shouldn't he be saying like pointy ears and not long ears? She breaks the fourth wall. Whatever. So, basically we have to go to the Forsaken Fortress now. What she was about to say was that that the Forsaken Fortress was the place where a rival gang of pirates used to have a hideout. Like, they had a bed in there, they had beds in there and everything. And, you know, like, that's another missed opportunity with this plot. This plot would have been a lot more interesting and exciting if we actually got to see that rival gang of pirates they talk about. Like, these pirates are way too good and lighthearted for actual pirates. Like, pirates are supposed to be, like, the thieves of the sea, and, like, I'm pretty sure they kill people. Usually they would just steal stuff like toilet paper and food. Like, the necessary stuff for them to live. But still, I think it would have been more interesting if we had, like, a secondary group of villains. Like, the rival gang of pirates. But instead, the rival gang of pirates are just something they talk about off screen, and we just have to assume they were all killed by the monsters that appear in the Forsaken Fortress. Like, that's pretty underwhelming now that I think about it. And here's a pretty sad cutscene. I think this accomplishes the job well. Link's grandma is naturally pretty reluctant to let her own grandson leave. And, like, go on a dangerous adventure to save his sister. As far as both of them know, the adventure is only going to last, like, a really short amount of time. That's a pretty good line. Okay, I'll say it. I really wish that they had more lines like that in Sonic games. Like, I think the Sonic games these days could really learn from the kind of story that this game has. It makes you care about it. It has charm. It's not really corny in any way, shape, or form. Although I don't really get when people say corny. Like, what is that supposed to mean? I don't know. Like, I think this game has a really good plot, especially compared to how the Sonic plots usually are. Emotional impact, action, stuff going on. More is happening than just characters standing around and talking. Like, there's usually something going on. Like here it's not just characters talking, it's also, like, a bunch of characters waving goodbye and saying goodbye to Link while movement is happening, where the pirate ship is taking him with them. It really does speak to Tetra's heart, that she's nice enough to, like, agree to bring him along to save his sister. Like, she's a pirate with a heart. Like, she's a jerk with a heart of gold. And I don't think that's very realistic for any kind of pirate. But I love that line. This game really does have charm, and this is mainly because of her. Although I think she's a really underutilized character. Like, she does great at the beginning of the game, but after that she kind of just falls off the map at a certain point. So, something I haven't talked about yet is the camera. The camera is entirely manual. Basically, you have to control the camera with a camera stick at all times. And this can get kind of tedious. Like, I've been spoiled by Sonic games, where the camera was usually automatic and pointing you where you need to go. Although you're usually going through a linear platforming level from beginning to end. Look, I just walked into the camera. See? You have to always, like, sometimes it can be a problem always having to manually control the camera, because sometimes you have to navigate the 3D environment in a way where you have to pretty much walk towards the camera and just move the camera around so you can see where you're going. You can press L to center the camera behind you at any time. And this is something that you'll generally always do when you enter a building, because for some reason, the game decides, let's have the camera face Link's face when you go inside a house, rather than allowing you to actually see what's ahead of you. Brilliant! But, like, yeah, like, I used to think that this game had a perfect camera system. How wrong I was. Like, the camera's not terrible, but it is kind of aged. I hope I don't have that same problem with Twilight Princess, because I don't remember it having any camera problems. But this is basically the start of a really annoying and unnecessary mission. Well, mission is basically I have to... Why is 1 year highlighted there? Is it... Like, usually when they highlight text in a certain color in a video game, it's to imply that it's important to you. But here, they say 1 year to imply that it's important to Nico. Like, it took him 1 year to get past this part. So, what does that have to do with me? Like, it's not implying that it's going to take a year to get to the Forsaken Fortress, is it? Because if so, you'd think that Link would have gotten older. And, like, that's an interesting thing, is early in development, they were originally going to have Link get older as he progressed through the game. Like, they had all sorts of different models for him and everything. But they decided to scrap that idea because it seemed too complicated. Speaking of too complicated, something about this makes it really easy to fail it. I think it's because you can't properly see depth perception with the camera being directly behind you. And if you try to have it turned so that it's a 2D perspective, then you won't be able to see enough of what's in front of you because the camera will be too zoomed into Link. So either way, it's kind of hard for you to tell when you should press the A button to jump onto the platforms. Like, it's just so tedious. You always fall down and then you have to climb the ladder back up and try again. You always have to jump back onto the switch to lower the platforms, and then jump back onto the other switch to raise the platforms. And it's just so unnecessary. Especially since you barely ever swing on things in the actual game. Like, you do it here, and then you just barely do it again. It is very in character for Tetra to call him moron. Like, it very much suits her character. I wish the text didn't scroll so slowly sometimes. Like, that's another big problem I have with this game that kind of hurts its replayability. Like, again, you can't skip cutscenes. So, when you have to rewatch cutscenes that slowly scroll the text so slowly, like Minish Cap and even the Game Boy Advance version of Link to the Past had an option where you could make the text scroll by really quickly. But with this game, you'll be mashing the hell out of the A button, really desperately wishing that you could make the text scroll by a lot faster, but you can't. You just have to watch it go. I mean, I guess it makes sure that you'll read it, but of course you're gonna read it on the first playthrough, but on your second playthrough and beyond, it's going to get kind of annoying. See? No good pirates. But they were just small time. So I guess they wouldn't have been a huge secondary group of villains then. It's like I can easily imagine Tetra. I can easily imagine Tetra competing with that rival gang of pirates regularly. But now there's no signs that she's doing that. So I guess she's the only pirate group now. Again, that's pretty underwhelming. I like this part. I like the sound effect that plays and the facial expression she has. But how did he get here? Did they knock him out off screen? I really wish that they had actually shown her knocking him out. Like, that would have been badass of her. But no. We have to cut because I guess the game would have been rated higher. Even though so many dark stuff happens in this game, like especially with the whole backstory of Hyrule. So you'd think that the cartoony art style alone would save it from any, like, questionable things happening in the plot. Like, I like this. This is pretty charming and amusing. This isn't, though, because now you have to go through the most tedious and irritating part of the whole entire game just because she was so stupid that she couldn't properly aim. How much experience does she have with firing stuff from the catapult? I mean, you'd think she would have a much better aim than that. Well, it's not Tetra. I'm pretty sure it's another pirate, but you'd still think there was no excuse for this. They're just arbitrarily forcing you through a terrible stealth section that so many people rage quit the game at. There are so many people that never beat this game and just put it down at the Forsaken Fortress because it was so tedious and boring. So this isn't just me who hates this part of the game. I honestly think that it's the worst part of the game. Not taking codes into consideration, because with codes you can just use the Mega Jump code to skip all of this. So it's really not a big deal. Whereas with a later part of the game, the Earth Temple, you can't do anything to skip its terrible, terrible awfulness. Like, no amount of codes will save you from the eye strain that is the Earth Temple. So when people complain about the Triforce quest and how it ruins the game, I really just roll my eyes because this is a lot worse. At least to me anyways. Like, at least with Triforce quest you're always visiting islands and, like, accomplishing stuff. This is just dull. I'm just gonna ignore that because I already know what she's gonna say. She's basically telling me that I can use the shield against the Bokoblin to block his attacks so that I can get his weapon. But when you attack with an enemy's weapon, you swing so slowly that you might as well not bother with it at all. And Breath of the Wild decided that was such a brilliant idea that they had to make sure that that was your only source of weapons in the whole entire game. Aside from the Master Sword, which you barely ever get until later. And then you have to go all the way back here. By the way, how does Ariel track that many seagulls? Is she a giant octo in disguise? Like, I think that's kind of weird. I mean, I know the seagulls like her, but were those seagulls the same ones as the ones from Outset Island that she, I guess, gained the favor of from Bait? Like, did they follow her all the way from Outset Island to here, and that's why they're flocking? Those are some fast flying birds. Considering that it probably, as far as we know, only took the course of a day to get here. I mean, I guess it depends on how large the Great Sea is.